Waitress met the deaf mother of a billionaire. But what she said in sign language left the entire restaurant frozen in shock. Before the story begins, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from. And don't forget to rate this story from 0 to 10. Enjoy the show. The crystal chandelier cast dancing shadows across the marble floors of Leonard, the most exclusive restaurant in Manhattan. Anna Martinez adjusted her black dress for the third time that night. Her hands trembled, not from nerves about serving the city's elite, but from the heavy weight of hiding who she really was. At just 24, Anna had mastered the art of invisibility. She moved through the restaurant like a whisper, a ghost with a practiced smile. "Table 12 needs a refill," called out Sarah, the head waitress, eyes never leaving her notepad. "And please, for the love of God, don't spill anything on Mr. Blackwood again. He's already complained twice about the room temperature." Anna nodded, carefully lifting a bottle of Chateau Margaux worth more than her monthly salary. Marcus Blackwood. Even his name sounded like money. Old money. Dangerous money. The kind that made people lower their eyes and bow their heads. She'd been serving him for 3 months, and in all that time, he had never once looked at her like a person, only as part of the decor. The room buzzed with the soft hum of people who had never once worried about rent, medical bills, or whether they'd have enough left for groceries after paying for their kids' school books. Anna knew that world once, but that life belonged to another version of her, one that had vanished long ago. "Excuse me, miss," the voice snapped her out of her thoughts. It was sharp, commanding, the kind of tone that made her spine straighten on instinct. She turned, and there he was, Marcus Blackwood, standing closer than she expected. His storm gray eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her stomach twist. He was tall. Too tall. She had to tilt her head just to meet his gaze. His dark hair was styled with the kind of perfection that only came from a stylist who charged more per hour than she earned in a week. His suit, Italian obviously, flawless, expensive. "The wine, sir?" she asked softly, lifting the bottle slightly. "Not for me," he said, waving a dismissive hand toward an elegant woman seated behind him. "My mother. She's been trying to get your attention for 10 minutes. Anna turned and froze. Mrs. Blackwood looked to be in her 60s. Her silver hair gathered in a graceful twist. Her eyes warm yet filled with a depth of unspoken stories. Her hands moved subtly in the air, forming shapes only a few would understand. Without hesitation, Anna placed the bottle on a nearby table and stepped closer. "Good evening," she signed, her hands moving with gentle precision. "How can I help you?" The woman's face lit up with pure joy. Her hands began to move quickly in response. "Oh, how wonderful. I wanted to thank the chef for the salmon. It reminded me of a dish I once had in Paris many years ago." "I'll make sure he knows," Anna signed back, smiling, truly smiling, for the first time that evening. "Would you like me to ask about the recipe? I believe he uses a special mix of herbs." Behind her, the entire restaurant seemed to go still. Conversations died mid-sentence, but Anna didn't notice. She was lost in the rhythm of hands and hearts, in the silent beauty of connection. "You're very kind," signed Mrs. Blackwood. "Most people just smile and nod once they realize I'm deaf." "You sign beautifully. Where did you learn?" "I studied linguistics in college," Anna signed, then froze. She had said too much. Linguistics? Marcus's voice cut through the quiet like a blade. His eyes were locked on her now, unreadable. Something in his gaze had changed. Something that told Anna her carefully hidden past was no longer safe. "Which university?" he asked, and his words echoed through Anna's mind like the toll of a distant bell. Panic rose in her chest, sharp, familiar, unwelcome. For years she had protected her secret, built her walls high and strong, and now, one careless moment of genuine conversation threatened to bring them all crashing down. I just took a few courses, sir. Nothing important," she said, feeling her heartbeat quicken. "Nothing important." Marcus took a step closer, his voice lowered, soft, but somehow far more dangerous than before. "You're fluent in sign language. You mentioned linguistics, and I doubt that's the only language you know. What else are you hiding?" The question hung between them like a challenge. Anna felt the restaurant go still. the weight of curious eyes turning their way. She could almost feel Sarah's tension beside her, counting, perhaps, the number of problems Anna was about to create. "I should get back to work," she whispered, reaching for the wine bottle. "Wait," Marcus caught her wrist, not roughly, but firmly enough to stop her. The touch sent a jolt through her, electric and startling, and in his eyes she saw something, surprise maybe, as if he'd felt it too. "Sorry," he said, his voice softer. That was too forward. Anna's gaze dropped to his hand. The expensive watch, clean nails, no scars, no calluses. No trace of a man who'd ever worked with his hands. When she looked back up, his expression had shifted, almost vulnerable. "Your mother's wonderful," she said gently. "She told me about her trip to Paris. She loves you, you know." Marcus released her wrist, but didn't step back. "She doesn't love many people," he murmured. "Maybe because most never really listen." The words slipped out of Anna before she could stop them, sharper than she intended. "Maybe you don't either," he raised an eyebrow. For a moment, she thought she saw a flicker of amusement. "You think I don't listen? I suppose you're used to people telling you exactly what you want to hear." This time, his smile was real, and it transformed him. "You might be right," he admitted. "But you still haven't answered my question. About the university." Anna felt cornered, trapped between the truth that could destroy her carefully rebuilt life, and the growing curiosity in Marcus's eyes. Mrs. Blackwood watched them from across the table, her knowing smile suggesting she understood far more than either of them realized. "Columbia," Anna said at last. The word came out like a confession. "I studied at Columbia." Marcus's expression shifted in surprise, confusion, and perhaps a hint of respect. "Columbia has one of the best linguistics programs." Why change careers? The innocent question hit her like a blow. How could she explain that she hadn't chosen any of it? That her career, her reputation, her entire future had been stolen by the one person she trusted most? That she worked as a waitress not by choice, but because it was the only door left open to her? Instead, she forced a calm smile. "Sometimes life doesn't go as planned," she said, proud that her voice didn't shake. "No," Marcus replied quietly, his gray eyes searching hers with unnerving focus. "It doesn't, does it?" "Miss?" Before he could finish, Mrs. Blackwood broke the tension with a playful wave of her hand, signing with a mischievous grin. "You two should talk more. My son works too much and meets too few interesting people." "What did she say?" Marcus asked, his tone edged with suspicion. Anna felt heat rise to her cheeks. "She said, 'You work too much.'" He studied her, eyes narrowing just slightly. "That's not all she said, was it?" The air between them thickened, charged, uncertain, and full of unspoken truths. "She also said you need to eat more vegetables." Marcus laughed, a genuine, surprised laugh, and a few other diners turned to look. "My mother didn't sign anything about vegetables." "How did you know?" "You don't speak sign language." "No," Anna said softly, "but I know your mother's sense of humor. And judging by how red you just turned, she probably said something meant to embarrass both of us." Anna opened her mouth to argue, but stopped. There was no point. Marcus was far more perceptive than she'd expected. "She thinks you should meet more interesting people. What do you think?" His gaze sharpened, the question holding something deeper, something Anna wasn't sure she wanted to uncover. Standing so close to him, she could smell his cologne, something expensive and dangerously elegant, probably costing more than her monthly rent. She noticed the faint lines at the corners of his eyes, the kind that come from smiling more often than his reputation suggested, and the way his jacket stretched slightly across his shoulders. "I think," Anna said carefully, "you're used to meeting people who want something from you." "I don't." Her voice was calm, but beneath it was a fragile thread of vulnerability. How many people had disappointed him? How many relationships had been built on his bank account, rather than genuine connection? "I just want you to let me do my job before Sarah decides I'm more trouble than I'm worth," she added quickly. Marcus glanced toward the front counter, where Sarah was watching them, her concern barely hidden. "Of course," he said, stepping back, but his eyes stayed locked on Anna. "But this conversation isn't over. Miss, I have questions." Anna Martinez. Hearing him say her full name shouldn't have surprised her. A man like Marcus Blackwood probably knew the names of everyone in the places he frequented. Still, something in the way he said it sent a chill down her spine. He knew more than he was letting on. Anna felt her carefully built world start to shake. For 3 months she'd been invisible, just another quiet face blending into the background. But now Marcus Blackwood was looking at her like she was a mystery he fully intended to solve. And that was the last thing she could afford. "I really should get back to work," she said again. But this time it sounded almost like a plea. "Of course," Marcus replied smoothly, his tone like silk. He stepped back, a gesture almost regal. "But Anna, I'll see you next week." It wasn't a question. It wasn't even a request. It was a promise, one that made her pulse race and her heart twist with equal parts anticipation and dread. As she turned away, she could feel his eyes follow her every move across the restaurant. Mrs. Blackwood caught her gaze as Anna passed by and signed quickly. "He noticed you." Anna nearly stumbled. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of repeated orders and refilled glasses. But her thoughts kept circling back to table 12. Every time she dared to glance over, Marcus was still watching her, his expression unreadable, focused, calculating. When they finally left, he stopped by her station. "Good evening, Anna," he said quietly, then leaned in just a little closer. "Next time, maybe you'll tell me about Paris. I have a feeling your story about studying there is more interesting than you let on." Anna's blood turned to ice. She had never mentioned Paris, not to anyone here. Mrs. Blackwood must have said something. But somehow, Marcus had already connected the dots she'd fought so hard to keep apart. As she watched him guide his mother toward the exit, Anna realized her carefully guarded anonymity had just shattered into dust. Marcus Blackwood wasn't just curious anymore, he was investigating her. Anna's hands trembled as she counted the tips at the end of the evening. Marcus's parting words echoed in her mind like a warning bell. Paris. How did he know about Paris? She had been so careful keeping that part of her life hidden, trying to become someone entirely different. A person who once negotiated multi-million-dollar deals in boardrooms overlooking the Seine. "You okay, girl?" Sarah appeared beside her, concern etched across her face. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," Anna lied, stuffing the crumpled bills into her bag. "Just tired. That Blackwood guy really shook you." What were those gestures about? Anna forced a smile. "His mother is deaf. I was just passing along her compliments to the chef." "Since when do you know sign language?" The question sounded casual, but Anna sensed the curiosity lurking beneath. She had worked so hard to blend into the crowd to go unnoticed. One conversation with Marcus had shattered months of careful invisibility. "I studied a bit in college," Anna said, hoping her voice sounded lighter than her nerves. "Nothing special." Sarah's look said she didn't fully believe her, but chose not to press further. Whatever Anna had done, she had made an impression. Marcus left a $200 tip. Her stomach flipped. $200 for a 30-minute dinner? Sarah's eyes sparkled with a mix of envy and suspicion. Rich men didn't leave tips like that unless they planned to return for more than just salmon. "There's a reason, honey. I've worked in restaurants for 20 years. Men like him don't play by our rules. Just be careful, okay?" Anna nodded, but Sarah's warning sounded like a door closing after the horse had bolted. Marcus Blackwood wasn't interested in her the way Sarah imagined. He was interested in her secrets, and that was far more dangerous. The subway ride back to her Queen studio felt longer than usual. Every shadow seemed to hide a threat. For 2 years, Anna had constantly looked over her shoulder, expecting David Chen to finish what he had started. Her ex-fiancé had methodically destroyed her life. First her reputation, then her career, then her finances. The only thing that had saved her from total ruin was her ability to vanish. But if Marcus started digging into her past, how long before David realized she wasn't as broken as he thought? How long before he decided to finish the job? Her phone vibrated as she climbed the stairs to her apartment. "Unknown number, I hope you don't mind. I got your number from the restaurant HR. This is Marcus Blackwood. I wanted to thank you for being so kind to my mother." "She hasn't stopped talking about you." Anna froze. Her heart thudded so hard she thought it might burst. HR, of course, men like Marcus didn't ask for permission. They just took what they wanted. A normal intrusion into her personal space should have angered her, but instead, it sent a chill straight to her core. She started typing a polite response, then immediately deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. Finally, she turned off the phone, unanswered. Her apartment was exactly what you'd expect from a queen's waitress. Small, modest, cluttered with bargain finds. But beneath her mattress lay a locked box holding her real treasures. A Columbia University diploma, her CPA license, and documents proving ownership of patents David had stolen, along with everything else. She pulled out her laptop, a relic from her former life she'd managed to hide from creditors. Her fingers hovered over the keys, hesitating before entering the search she had avoided for 2 years. David Chen and Pinnacle Financial. The results made her stomach twist. David's company had been skyrocketing ever since she was ousted, built on stolen work. But the latest news made her blood run cold. Pinnacle Financial had announced a merger with Blackwood Industries. Marcus Blackwood, David Chen, partners. Anna's hands flew to her mouth, stifling a scream that threatened to escape. This couldn't be a coincidence. David was many things. Ruthless, calculating, without conscience, but careless he was not. If he was teaming up with Marcus, there had to be a reason. Could he somehow know where she was? Was Marcus's interest part of some cunning plan to finish what David had started? Her phone vibrated again. Another message from Marcus. I know you're probably tired, but I can't stop thinking about our conversation. Want to have dinner tomorrow? Somewhere we can really talk. Anna stared at the message until the words blurred before her eyes. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to vanish again before the web David was weaving could trap her. But running required money she didn't have, and she was exhausted from living in fear. More than that, she was tired of being invisible. Defying every rational thought in her mind, Anna typed back, I work in the evening tomorrow, but free for lunch. The reply was instant. Perfect. I'll pick you up at 12. Wear something comfortable. I have a feeling we're going to have a lot to talk about. Anna set the phone down and buried her face in her hands. She was standing on the threshold of the biggest step of her life. Either she would make a mistake she could never recover from, or finally take the first step toward reclaiming herself. Either way, there was no turning back. The next morning brought a message that made Anna question her sanity again. Change of plans. Meet me on the Columbia University campus, on the steps of the old library. I want to see where you studied. Anna's blood froze. Columbia. He had already begun digging into her past, connecting the dots she had desperately tried to erase. A casual mention of her alma mater was a trap closing in on her from all sides. But what choice did she have? Running would only confirm his suspicions, and she was tired of living like a ghost. Anna carefully selected an outfit, the only piece left from her former life. A simple black dress worth more than she now earned in 2 months. It felt strange against her skin, like a costume for a play she had long forgotten how to perform. The campus buzzed with life. Students darted between classes, their faces glowing with the uncertain brightness that had once filled Anna's own days. She found Marcus exactly where he said he would be, sitting on the library steps with 2 cups of coffee, an expression of barely contained curiosity on his face. In daylight, he looked different, somehow younger, less threatening. His dark hair caught the autumn light, and the suit had been replaced with dark jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than Anna's monthly rent, yet somehow looked effortlessly casual. You found me, he said, standing to offer her one of the cups. I almost didn't expect you to come. Almost didn't, Anna admitted, taking the coffee gratefully. She realized it was from an expensive cafe near the campus, not the usual kind she was used to. But you came. Why? Marcus asked. His tone was light, but there was an undercurrent of tension. Everything about him spoke of someone used to getting answers, solving puzzles. She was his latest mystery. Because I'm tired of running from my past, she said, surprising herself with the honesty. Marcus's expression softened. Are you running from something specific or just running in general? What makes you think I'm running? Anna, you're 24, you graduated from Columbia, and you're waiting tables in Manhattan. You speak several languages, you know wine. Yesterday, you quietly corrected my pronunciation of that French word. Either you're running from someone, or preparing for a role that demands a genius-level character. Anna nearly choked on her coffee. "Did you hear that?" she asked. "I hear everything," he said, a wry edge in his voice. "It's a professional habit, catching the details everyone else misses." Marcus sank back onto the steps, gesturing for her to join him. "So what's your story? Bad relationships? Family scandals? Debts that could bankrupt a small country?" His tone was casual, almost teasing, but Anna noticed the sharp intelligence behind those gray eyes. He was giving her the chance to tell her truth first, to control the narrative before he unraveled it all. "All of the above," she admitted, perching beside him cautiously, keeping a subtle distance. "Plus a little. Creative financial planning from someone I trusted. He stole from you," he stated flatly. No question in his tone. The blunt certainty sent a strange relief through Anna, loosening a knot in her chest. "No one just stole from me," she corrected. "They took everything. My job, my reputation, my future. I'm not running from debts, Marcus. I'm running from the person who destroyed my life and convinced everyone I deserved it." Marcus was silent for a long moment, fingers wrapped around his coffee cup. "David Chen," he finally said. Anna's cup slipped from her hands, splattering coffee across the stone steps. How do you know?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Because I know David Chen very well," Marcus replied softly. "And if he did this to you, we have a serious problem." The world seemed to tilt like a ship caught in a storm. Without thinking, Anna grabbed Marcus's hand, her nails pressing into the expensive cashmere of his sleeve. "You know him?" "How do you know him?" Marcus looked at her hand, then into her eyes. "Anna, David Chen is my business partner. We're about to close the biggest deal of our careers." The words hit her like a physical blow. Of course he'd find a way back into her life just as she started to feel safe. Of course he'd manipulate someone like Marcus, whom she had just begun to trust, as a weapon. "This is a setup," Anna whispered, letting go of his hand and rising. "All of it. The restaurant, your mother, your curiosity about my past. He sent you?" "No," Marcus said, gripping her wrist firmly but gently. "I swear David has no idea I'm here. I don't know what he's done to you, but this conversation, it has nothing to do with him." "I don't believe you." "Then let me prove it." Marcus pulled out his phone and scrolled through his contacts. "I'll call him right now. I'll tell him I met someone who knows him from Colombia. Let's see his reaction." Anna wanted to run, but something in Marcus's expression held her in place. He pressed the call button and put the phone on speaker. "Marcus." David's voice filled the air between them, smooth, charming, exactly as Anna remembered. "Perfect timing. I was just reviewing the merger documents. Everything looks—" "David, quick question. I met someone yesterday who says they know you from business school. Anna Martinez, linguist, worked in finance for a while." Silence hung thick, almost tangible. Anna felt David's shock reach her through the phone. Anna Martinez? That name doesn't ring a bell. Should it?" The lie rolled off his tongue effortlessly erasing 2 years of her life, 2 years of trust and love. Without a second thought, "Maybe I'm mistaken," Marcus said, never breaking eye contact with Anna. She teetered on the edge of believing he might actually be losing his mind. "She was certain she knew you. Said you'd worked on financial projects together." "You know how it goes, Marcus," David replied smoothly. "Business school creates all kinds of random connections. Maybe we were in the same study group or something. Honestly, I don't remember her." Anna let out a sound that was part laugh, part sob. "A study group? 3 years of partnership, 2 years engaged?" And David reduced it to some trivial classroom connection. "Perfect. Well, if you remember anything, let me know. Then we can talk about contracts with the Steinbergs." "Of course. And Marcus, be careful with people who claim they knew me in the past. You'd be surprised how many try to use fake connections to get close to successful men like you." The call ended abruptly, leaving Anna and Marcus in stunned silence. "Fake connections?" Anna whispered, dazed. "So, that's what our engagement was. Fake connection?" Marcus stared at his phone as if it had personally insulted him. "You were engaged to David Chen for 2 years?" "We were business partners for 3 years before that," Anna said, her voice distant as if she were hearing someone else recount her life. "We built Pinnacle Financial together. Every algorithm, every client strategy, every innovation that made the company successful. It was my work, my ideas, and he took it all. Tears threatened to spill. He did more than just steal it, Anna continued, her voice hoarse with rage. He convinced everyone I was the one stealing from him. Forged documents, manipulated financial records turned our clients against me. By the time I realized what was happening, he had already sued me and frozen all my accounts. Marcus's jaw clenched so tightly, Anna could see the muscle twitch under his skin. The accusations didn't hold in court, of course. Otherwise, you'd be in prison. They didn't hold because David dropped them at the last second, claimed he didn't want to ruin my life over a misunderstanding, pretended to be magnanimous while convincing everyone I was guilty. Who cancels theft charges if they aren't sure the person is guilty, but wants to seem generous? Marcus muttered, running his hand through his perfectly styled hair. It's devilishly calculated. That's David. Anna laughed, but there was no joy in it. And now he's your business partner, she thought. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Marcus studied her for a long moment, his gray eyes like stone, revealing nothing. Then he stood and extended his hand. I'm going to find the truth, he said calmly. And then I'll make sure David Chen pays for what he did to you. Those words should have filled Anna with hope. Instead, she felt only weary acceptance. Men like David never pay for their crimes. They profit from them. And men like Marcus, no matter how sincere, always choose money over justice when it counts. But when she looked at his outstretched hand, something in his gaze made her chest tighten with an emotion she thought David had destroyed forever. Hope. Against her instinct, Anna took his hand and let him lift her to her feet. Why? She asked quietly. Why risk a business deal to help someone you barely know? Marcus didn't answer right away. Instead, he studied her face with such intensity. She felt as if he could see through every carefully constructed defense. Because all my life, I've been surrounded by people who wanted something from me. And yesterday, for the first time in years, I met someone who just wanted to be kind to my mother. Someone who didn't even know who I was, who had no goal other than to show basic human decency. He fell silent. His finger brushed ever so lightly against her knuckles, sending a rush of heat through her body. And because David Chen just lied to my face, claiming he doesn't know you, that means everything you've told me is probably true, and everything he told me is probably a lie. Tears welled in Anna's eyes. When was the last time someone had believed her without proof, without documents, without endless explanations? What if you're wrong? She whispered. What if I'm lying? Marcus smiled and his face seemed to transform. Then I'm probably about to make a very expensive mistake. But for some reason, I don't think I am. He kept walking, still holding her hand, and Anna realized, almost without thinking, that she was following him. Where are we going? To my office. I want to show you something. Marcus, I can't. People, they'll see. Your reputation. Anna. He stopped and turned to her. I don't care about my reputation. I care about the truth. And I have a feeling the truth about David Chen will be very, very interesting. As they walked across the campus, Anna caught glimpses of their reflections in the glass windows. A billionaire and a waitress, their lives intertwining in a place where it seemed impossible. Yet for the first time in 2 years, Anna felt she could be more than a pawn in David's schemes. She felt worth protecting. Marcus's office occupied the entire top floor of a glittering skyscraper, with panoramic windows offering a breathtaking view of Manhattan. Anna tried not to gape as they passed through the reception area, where assistants in tailored suits moved with quiet precision, and every piece of furniture, every painting, screamed old money and refined taste. Mr. Blackwood, Jennifer, his assistant, stood as they approached, her professional smile faltering slightly at the sight of Anna. You're not scheduled for today. Plans have changed, Jennifer, Marcus said, nodding. Call me back in an hour. He led Anna to the massive double doors of his office, and Jennifer, complete confidentiality for this meeting. Of course, sir. Anna felt Jennifer's curious, almost piercing gaze follow her as they passed. Her simple black dress seemed to scream that she didn't belong in this glossy, luxurious world. Marcus's office. It was awe-inspiring, expansive, dark polished wood, the warm sheen of leather. Everything radiated power, control, and a dangerous kind of harmony. Drink? Marcus asked, moving to the bar lined with bottles that probably cost more than Anna made in a year. "No, thank you," she whispered, staying by the door. What was she doing here? Why had she agreed to come? "Marcus, what are you trying to do? Even if everything I told you is true, David is your partner. You can't what?" He interrupted calmly, pouring 2 fingers of amber whiskey. "Hold him accountable for his actions?" Anna froze. "If David Chen destroyed your life for his own gain," Marcus said, "then he's exactly the kind of person I don't want to deal with. But money," she tried. "Money can always be earned again," he said, sinking into his leather chair and gesturing for her to sit opposite him. "The chance to do the right thing doesn't come often." Anna perched on the edge of the chair, taut as a drawn string. "You sound confident now, but when you see the numbers, when your advisor starts asking questions—" "My advisor works for me, not the other way around." Marcus's voice was steel. "Numbers mean nothing if they're built on lies." He leaned forward, his gray eyes flashing with cold fire. "Tell me about the patents, Anna." "What?" She breathed out, stunned. "David's company filed 17 patents in the last 2 years. Algorithms, risk models. How many of them did you create?" Anna went pale. "How did you—" "I checked Pinnacle's assets," he explained calmly, scrolling through documents on his tablet. "And something doesn't add up. All 17 patents were filed within 6 months. Based on David's education and experience, he simply couldn't have created such complex models." "You investigated him?" Anna whispered. "I investigate all potential partners." His voice softened, but every word cut with surgical precision. "Then why is there no trace of you? If you were truly a partner for 3 years, there should be documentation, agreements, contracts." "Because David erased me." Anna's voice trembled. "After accusing me of theft, he removed my name from everything. He rewrote agreements, altered patents, made it look like I never existed." Marcus was silent for a long moment, fingers steepled in front of his face. This level of document falsification. "Anna, this isn't just deceit. It's a crime." "Good luck proving it," she said bitterly. "He has an army of lawyers." "So do I," Marcus replied coldly, pulling out his phone. "Jennifer, contact Charles Morrison." "Yes, immediately." "Tell him it's urgent." Anna sprang up. "Marcus, no! This will destroy your deal." "Perfect." His voice turned hard, almost icy. "If the deal is built on theft, it deserves to be destroyed. You don't understand what you're risking. And you don't understand what my honor is worth," he said, rising to his full height, locking eyes with her. "I can lose this deal, 10 deals, and still have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. But what I cannot afford to lose is my integrity." Simple words, but they hit Anna harder than any scream. The room fell silent, too silent, and deep inside, for the first time in years, a spark of hope flickered. When was the last time someone chose principles over profit? When was the last time someone risked something real? "For her, why?" she whispered almost inaudibly. "Why are you doing this?" Marcus stepped closer. Close enough for Anna to see silver flecks in his gray eyes, smell the faint but expensive scent of his cologne. "Because yesterday, you could have just thanked my mother for her compliments and left. But you didn't. You spent 10 minutes talking to her about her travels, asking about her experiences, treating her like a person, not an inconvenience." He paused, his voice dropping to something almost intimate. "Because you speak 5 languages, yet work for tips. Because you have an MBA from Columbia, yet worry your boss thinks you cause more trouble than you solve. Because everything about you tells me that you've been systematically undervalued by the people who should have recognized your worth." Tears welled in Anna's eyes. "Again, you'll regret this when the lawyers start asking questions, when the board demands explanations, when David fights back." "Let me handle David." Marcus reached out, giving her space to retreat, and gently brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb. "The question is, are you ready to fight?" His touch was soft, almost reverent, and Anna felt herself leaning toward him despite every rational thought screaming in her head. "I don't even know how," she whispered. "He took everything, Marcus. My job, my reputation, my confidence. I don't even know who I am without it all." "I know who you are." Marcus placed his other hand gently on her face, warmth radiating through his touch. You're the person who built a company from scratch for 3 years. The person who developed technology so advanced that David Chen was willing to commit fraud to steal it. The person who lost everything, yet still found the strength to be kind to a lonely old woman in a restaurant. He gently traced her cheekbones with his thumbs, and something inside her chest cracked. Something frozen for 2 long years. You're someone worth fighting for, Anna Martinez. The question is, do you believe that? Anna lifted her gaze to this incredible man. Someone willing to risk millions for a person he'd only known 2 days. Everything about the situation was insane. The timing, the circumstances, the way her heart raced at his touch. Yet for the first time in 2 years, Anna felt like herself again. Not the diminished, frightened woman David had forced her to become, but the person she had been before, smart, capable, someone worth protecting. I want to believe that, she whispered. Then let me prove it to you. Before Anna could ask what he meant, Marcus's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen and his expression darkened. What is it? Anna asked. A message from David. He wants to move our meeting to Monday. Says he has some exciting news to discuss. A chill sank into Anna's stomach. Marcus, you have to be careful. If he even suspects that you know about me. Don't worry. Marcus's smile was cold, predatory. He has no idea what's coming. Anna opened her mouth to warn him again, to explain just how dangerous David could be when cornered. But the determination in Marcus's eyes reminded her of something she'd almost forgotten. What it felt like to have someone truly on your side, someone willing to fight for you. What do I need to do? She asked quietly. Marcus smiled softly. I need you to trust me. Can you? Trust? The word had been David's weapon, something Anna had sworn never to give anyone again. But looking into Marcus's gray eyes, she felt something she hadn't in 2 years, the spark of belief. Yes, she said. I can. Marcus's smile was like sunrise after the longest night. Good, because Monday morning David Chen would find out that his past had finally caught up with him. When Marcus stood beside Anna and drew her into a protective embrace, she allowed herself to hope that maybe justice wasn't dead after all. And if it wasn't, she wouldn't face David's wrath alone. For the first time in 2 years, Anna Martinez wasn't running. She was ready to fight. Monday arrived under the same gray sky that mirrored her mood. She sat in a cafe across from Marcus's building, watching the entrance through rain-streaked windows. Marcus had insisted she stay out of sight during the meeting with David. But she couldn't just go home and wait idly while her future was decided by 2 men in expensive suits. Her phone vibrated. Meeting starts in 10 minutes. Remember, David doesn't know you're involved. Be careful. Her hands shook as she typed back, stay safe. He's far more dangerous than you think. The reply came instantly. I know, but so am I. Anna stared at the message, trying to find comfort in Marcus's confidence. But she knew David in ways Marcus could not. She knew how he could twist the truth, turn a victim into a villain, and a monster into a hero. She had seen him destroy lives with the same cold precision he had used to shatter hers. On the 43rd floor, directly above her, Marcus Blackwood would soon discover just how carefully David Chen had played them all. Adjusting his tie, Marcus studied his reflection in the mirrored conference room windows. Everything had to be perfect. His appearance, his demeanor, his questions. David must not suspect that this was more than a routine business meeting. Mr. Blackwood. Jennifer's voice came over the intercom. Mr. Chen has arrived. Send him in. The conference room doors swung open, and David Chen entered with the confident stride of a man who believed he owned the world. He was shorter than Marcus remembered, with perfectly styled black hair and a smile that seemed genuine, until you looked into his eyes. Marcus. Good to see you. David extended his hand with practiced warmth. Thanks for moving the meeting. I know your schedule is insane. No problem. Marcus shook the hand, noting the firm grip, the expensive watch, the impeccably manicured nails. Everything about David screamed success, competence, reliability. Coffee, please. I've been reviewing our timelines, and I think we can accelerate the merger by at least 6 weeks. My team discovered additional assets that weren't accounted for in the initial proposal. Marcus poured coffee from a silver set, moving with deliberate casualness. Additional assets? Intellectual property? Mostly some proprietary algorithms your team developed internally? David accepted the cup with a nod of gratitude. I wanted to discuss the numbers with you before involving the lawyers. Appreciate that. Marcus settled into his chair. Every muscle tensed beneath his calm exterior. Tell me about these algorithms. Are they tied to the risk assessment protocols you mentioned last month? David's smile widened. Exactly. Revolutionary stuff, really? Predictive modeling that can identify market trends up to 18 months in advance. It will change portfolio management entirely. Impressive. Your team developed this in-house? Absolutely. My lead researcher is brilliant. PhD from MIT, years of experience in quantitative analysis. We've been working on this technology for over 3 years. Marcus nodded, thoughtfully jotting notes in his pad. And this researcher, any objections to the merger? No intellectual property disputes, patent issues, or anything like that? Not at all. Clean chain of development. All work performed under company contracts. My legal team has thoroughly verified the documentation. In that moment, as silence filled the room almost unbearably, Marcus felt a weight settle on his neck. An unclear but terrifying realization. David was already a step ahead. The lies flowed smoothly, confidently, and a cold rage swelled in Marcus's chest. Anna had been right. David was a master manipulator, capable of rewriting history without breaking stride. Perfect. Everyone knows how crucial clean chains of ownership are in deals of this scale. Marcus set his pen down and leaned back. But he still had to ask, 3 years of development is a significant investment for a company of this size. How was the R&D funded? David's smile faltered just for a moment, barely noticeable. Initial funding came from private investors. Then we reinvested profits as the technology proved viable. Smart management of resources. And your lead researcher, the MIT PhD, was with you all 3 years. Oh, even longer. Academic credentials are impressive, but the real value is practical application. We created something truly remarkable together. Marcus felt a wave of nausea. Every word David spoke was a carefully crafted distortion of the truth. This wasn't just stealing Anna's work. It was erasing her very essence. The way he casually described their partnership, erasing Anna from memory, was almost unimaginably cruel. I'd love to meet this researcher. Always fascinating to see the minds behind innovation. David's pause was almost imperceptible. Unfortunately, he's in Singapore right now, implementing the tech with our Asian partners. Very practical approach, you know? Brilliant but not keen on corporate meetings. Of course. Well, when he returns, I'd appreciate the introduction. Marcus reached for his coffee, using the moment to study David's expression. In the meantime, I'd like to review the development documentation. Timelines, methodology, and testing protocols. My technical team will want to understand the architecture before we finalize the terms. Of course, I'll prepare all necessary materials. David pulled out his phone, fingers gliding across the screen. Everything will be with you by the end of the week. Marcus nodded, making another note. Excellent. And David, I appreciate your transparency regarding the additional assets. Trust is the foundation of any successful partnership. Absolutely. David's smile was dazzling, exuding warmth, at least the way he thought warmth looked. Honesty in business, he believed, wasn't just ethical. It was profitable. Lies inevitably caught up with you. The irony of it all was so thick Marcus could almost taste it. I can't disagree there, Marcus said. For another half hour, they discussed financial projections and merger timelines. David painted a picture of exponential growth and market domination, convincing. If Marcus didn't know that it was all built on theft and deception. When David finally left, his handshake was firm, his confidence polished, his promises grandiose. Marcus waited until he heard the elevator doors close, then pulled out his phone. Call Charles Morrison right now. Anna was on her 3rd cup of coffee when her phone rang. Seeing Marcus's name on the screen made her heart skip a beat. How did it go? She asked, cutting straight to the point. Exactly as you predicted. He lied about everything. Development timelines, the research team, funding sources, and about you. He claims his lead researcher is a man with a PhD from MIT. Anna's laugh was bitter. Let me guess, this mysterious researcher. by some miraculous coincidence, is conveniently unavailable for meetings in Singapore. Very practical, but not a fan of corporate gatherings. How convenient. She closed her eyes, feeling the familiar weight of David's manipulations. Did he seem suspicious when you asked questions? Not at all. He practically glowed with pride over what he thought was his cleverness. Marcus's voice sharpened. Anna, I've met my share of unscrupulous people in my career, but the way he erases your very essence, that's psychopathy. Tried to warn you. You did warn me. And you were right about everything. A pause. Then Marcus's tone softened. How are you holding up? Anna looked around the cafe where people were living ordinary lives, oblivious that their simple Monday morning was the most surreal moment in her recent memory. I'm just waiting for it all to collapse. David doesn't make mistakes, Marcus. If he handles these lies so casually, it means he's already confident he's won. What do you mean? He's planning something. David doesn't just react to threats. He anticipates them and neutralizes them before they even become problems. A shiver of ice ran through Anna, unrelated to the rain outside. Marcus, what if he knows? What if all of this is some intricate trap? Impossible. He couldn't know we were in contact. Are you sure? Think about it. You ask him about a person from Colombia with a linguistics background, claiming to know him. Then 3 days later, you start probing into his development team and intellectual property chains. Damn. That's a pretty massive coincidence. Marcus stayed silent for a long moment. Do you think he realized you're the link to Kali? I think David Chen doesn't believe in coincidences, just like you don't. Marcus's voice tightened, filled with concern. Anna, where are you now? In the cafe across from your building? Why? Because if you're right, if David realized there's a connection between us, you're not safe. He destroyed your life when you were inconvenient. What do you think he'll do if he sees you as a direct threat? A cold shiver ran through Anna's stomach. She was so consumed by thoughts of possible retaliation that she hadn't considered what might happen if David decided to defend himself. And David never leaves loose ends. Marcus, I need to disappear tonight. Leave the city. Change my name. No, Marcus's voice was firm. Running didn't work the first time, and it won't work now. David will follow you. And next time, there won't be anyone watching your back. So, what do you suggest? I suggest we make him act. Make him come to us, instead of letting him hunt you on his schedule. Anna gripped her phone tighter. This is suicide. You don't understand what he's capable of, and you don't understand what I'm capable of. Marcus's tone was both confident and intimidating. Anna, I didn't build $1 billion company by running from problems. And I sure as hell won't let David Chen intimidate a woman He stopped abruptly, and Anna's heart skipped a beat. A woman you what? She whispered. A woman I care about, Marcus said softly. More than he probably should, considering they'd only known each other for 3 days. But still, Anna felt tears prick her eyes. Marcus, I know this is crazy. I know the timing is terrible, the circumstances impossible. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since that Saturday night. The way you spoke to my mother, the way you stood up to me when I was acting like an idiot, the strength it took to rebuild your life after David destroyed it. You barely know me. I know enough, she said. I know you're smart, kind, and stronger than you think. I know you deserve justice, and I know I want you to be the one to help me get it. Marcus was silent for a long moment. And I won't let David Chen hurt you again. Anna wiped a tear away, surprised she even had one left after 2 years of endless crying. But what if we can't prove he did it? What if his lawyers are stronger than yours? What if then we deal with that when it happens? But Anna, I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Trust, the word had become her enemy. David had poisoned the idea so completely, she thought she could never accept it again. But sitting in that ordinary cafe, listening to Marcus promise to fight for her, Anna felt something shift in her chest. Maybe trust wasn't about never getting hurt again. Maybe it was about believing someone was worth the risk. Yes, she whispered. I trust you. Good, because I have a plan. 20 minutes later, Anna was back in Marcus's office, listening as he outlined a strategy that was either brilliant or completely insane. You want me to call David directly? Anna stared at him as if he had lost his mind. Marcus, that's exactly what he's waiting for. He's probably already planning how to use any contact from me against us. That's why it's perfect. Marcus paced behind his desk, his energy radiating determination. He expects you to hide, to let others fight for you. The last thing he expects is for you to walk straight into his office and demand answers. Because it's suicidal. Because it's unexpected. He stopped, turned, and fixed her with a look that made her blood run cold. Anna, think about it. For 2 years you ran from David, let him control the situation. What if you stopped? What if you took everything into your own hands? Anna felt her heart race, a mix of fear and something dangerously close to excitement. Even if I wanted to meet him, and I don't, what's the point? He'll just lie, manipulate, and turn everything on me, like always. Not unless you go alone. Marcus pulled out his phone.
I'll call David right now.
Tell him my tech team found some discrepancies in his IP documentation, and I need to meet with his lead researcher to clarify a few points. He'll start defending himself. The researcher is in Singapore, remember? I'll say it's so urgent that we need to bring the researcher back immediately. I'll make it clear the deal depends on it. Marcus's smile was sharp, almost dangerous. Trust me, David won't risk losing the merger over a single meeting. Anna felt her pulse quicken, and then, Marcus continued, you walk into that meeting as Dr. Anna Martinez, independent consultant, specializing in algorithmic trading systems. The person I hired to verify the authenticity of his intellectual property. The audacity of the plan left Anna breathless. He'll recognize me immediately, she whispered. Of course he will. And he'll be so rattled. He'll give up more than he planned. David's strength had always been in his control, his ability to manipulate from the shadows. But put him face to face with someone he thought broken, someone who's clearly not the person he expected. He'll make mistakes. Anna understood the logic, but the thought of facing David again made her stomach churn. What if he refuses to meet? What if he calls security? What if he tries to have me arrested? For what? Attending a business meeting? Anna, you're not a fugitive. You've never been officially accused. David's power over you only exists as long as you believe it does. Marcus stepped closer, standing in front of her, hands softly resting on her shoulders. I know you're scared. I know the last time you trusted someone, it ended in disaster. But this is different. Now you're not alone. Now you have someone who believes in you. Someone willing to fight for you. Now you have me. Anna looked into his gray eyes and saw not pity, not mercy, but genuine care, respect, real partnership. The kind she had once thought she shared with David but had never truly existed. What if we're wrong? She whispered. What if this destroys your company, your reputation, everything you've built? Marcus's hands moved to her face, thumbs gliding along her cheekbones. Then I'll rebuild it. But Anna, I can't restore my honor if I turn away from this. I can't face myself if I let David Chen win. I can't lose you, now that I've found you. His words hung in the air, heavy with meanings Anna wasn't yet ready to unpack. But Marcus's sincerity, his gentle touch and absolute confidence in his voice broke down her last barrier. All right, she said quietly. Let's do it. Marcus's smile was like sunrise. You sure? I'm scared, but yes, I'm sure. Anna took a deep breath, feeling something shift in her chest. It's time to stop running. Marcus pulled her close, holding her tightly. Anna let herself draw strength from his warmth, his confidence, and his unwavering belief that justice was possible. Tomorrow she would meet David Chen for the first time in 2 years. Tomorrow she would either reclaim her life or watch it crumble again. But tonight, for the first time since her world fell apart, Anna Martinez felt she was exactly where she belonged. 3 floors of glass towers rose in the financial district, housing Pinnacle's offices, sleek lines, modern efficiency, designed to radiate success and stability. Anna stood across the street, eyes locked on the building that had once embodied all her dreams, and now loomed as a monument to her nightmares. Doubting yourself? Marcus asked, appearing beside her with 2 cups of coffee, as if he had just pulled them from thin air. Anna accepted the cup gratefully, feeling the warmth pierce through the chill of October. I used to love this building, she said softly. David and I picked it together, spent hours planning the offices, dreaming about the company we'd build. And you did build it, Marcus said, his voice steady. That he stole your credit changes nothing. Anna looked at him, noting the expensive cut of his suit, the confident posture, the way he seemed to command space merely by existing. "Are you sure about this plan? Once we step in, there's no turning back." "I'm sure," Marcus replied, calm and unwavering. "The question is, are you ready?" Anna thought of the woman she had been 2 years ago. Confident, accomplished, naive, believing hard work and talent could shield her from people like David. Then she thought of who she had become, frightened, broken, invisible. But standing here with Marcus, feeling his complete faith in her, Anna realized she no longer wanted to be either of those women. She wanted to be someone new, someone broken but rising stronger. "I'm ready," she said, and she meant it. They crossed the street together, Marcus's hand warm and reassuring on her back. The lobby was exactly as she remembered. Marble floors, abstract art, that subtle sophistication that whispered wealth rather than shouted it. The guard at the desk looked up, his expression professionally attentive when he recognized Marcus. "Mr. Blackwood. Good afternoon, sir." "Good afternoon." "James, we're here to see David Chen. He's expecting us, of course, sir. 32nd floor. Elevators." "I remember," Anna whispered, then fell silent. James's gaze lingered on her in puzzlement, trying to place where he'd seen her before. "Dr. Martinez is consulting on our merger," Marcus said smoothly, not missing a beat. "Intellectual property review. Of course. Good luck with your meeting." As the elevator ascended, Anna's heart raced uncontrollably. The numbers climbed, 20, 25, 30, each one bringing her closer to the meeting she had been running from for 2 years. "Breathe," Marcus whispered, his hand finding hers. "Remember, you're here by right. This company exists because of your work." The elevator doors opened onto the familiar reception area, all glass and chrome, curated to broadcast success. Behind the desk sat a young woman Anna didn't recognize. David had clearly replaced the entire staff after her departure. "Mr. Blackwood," the woman said, rising with a professional smile. "Mr. Chen is waiting in the main conference room." They followed her down the corridor, lined with framed newspaper articles chronicling Pinnacle's achievements. Innovation awards, photographs of David at various industry events. Anna felt her stomach tighten. In just 2 years, David had built a mythology around himself, a carefully crafted story in which her contributions never existed. The conference room doors swung open. And there he was, David Chen. Exactly the same as before, perfectly styled black hair, an expensive suit, that rehearsed smile that once made Anna's heart race. He stood at the head of the table, positioning himself to demonstrate control and authority. For a moment, Anna felt that familiar, paralyzing fear, the woman she had been, broken and timid, resurfacing. Then Marcus's hand pressed against her back, warm and steady, and Anna remembered why she was fighting. "Marcus," David's voice was warm, welcoming, betraying nothing. "Right on time, and you must be Dr. Martinez." Their eyes met across the room. Anna caught a flicker of recognition in David's gaze. His face went completely blank for 3 seconds, just long enough for her to see shock, calculation, and maybe fear cross his features. Then the mask returned, flawless as ever. "Excuse me," David said, his voice carefully neutral. "Have we met before? You look familiar." The detached tone, the pretense that she was a stranger, hit Anna like a physical blow. But instead of the abyss of despair she had expected, a completely different emotion surged through her. Pure, unfiltered rage. Bright, electrifying, burning away 2 years of fear and doubt. "We have met," she said quietly, stepping into the room with her head held high. "Though I wouldn't be surprised if you don't remember. You've always been better at forgetting inconvenient people." David's smile didn't waver, but Anna noticed a subtle tightening around his eyes. "I'm afraid I don't understand you," he said. "Anna Martinez," she said clearly, extending her hand in a mockingly polite gesture. "Former partner and co-founder of Pinnacle Financial, although I assume your current version of the story claims I never existed." The silence that followed her words was deafening. David stared at the outstretched hand as if it were a weapon, while Marcus observed the scene with intense focus. "I think there's some misunderstanding here," David finally said, never taking her hand. "Pinnacle has never had a partner named Anna Martinez." "Really?" Anna pulled out her phone and opened a photo album she thought she'd never need again. Then perhaps you can explain this. She showed him the screen. A photo of David and Anna at Pinnacle's launch party, arms around each other, smiling at the camera. David's face radiated genuine pride and warmth. David glanced at the photo and shrugged. I attend a lot of events, he said. I'm sure I've taken photos with hundreds of people over the years. Anna scrolled to the next image. Her and David working late in the office, her engagement ring clearly visible. Another photo, David kissing Anna on the cheek during an intimate dinner that was clearly not a business meeting. Hundreds of people, Anna repeated softly. So what am I to you, David? Just another face in the crowd? I'm afraid I don't quite understand what you're trying to achieve here, David said, turning to Marcus with a look of professional confusion. Marcus interrupted, his voice deadly quiet. This woman, Dr. Anna Martinez, owns the patents for 17 technologies your company claims to have developed. The very technologies you tried to sell me as part of our merger. David's mask slipped for a moment, and Anna saw a flicker of fear in his eyes. That's impossible, he said. All of Pinnacle's intellectual property was developed in-house. Your team? Anna repeated. You mean the team of one PhD from MIT who conveniently resides in Singapore and is unavailable for meetings? I don't know what game you're playing here, David continued. I'm not playing a game, Anna replied calmly, her voice firm, filled with the resolve forged from 2 years of pain. I came to take back what you stole from me. David laughed, but the sound was strained, artificial, betraying his rising panic. Stole? That's a serious accusation. Yes, Anna said, pulling out her tablet and opening a folder of files. Do you want to see the original risk assessment algorithms? The ones I wrote by hand 6 months before you filed the patents? Or maybe the emails where you asked me to explain the technical specifications because you couldn't understand the code? David's confident expression began to crack, unraveling before her eyes. Anyone could forge documents. Anyone, Anna agreed. But these weren't forgeries. These were backups from her personal cloud storage, complete with metadata, creation dates, last modified times, and the devices used to create them. She looked David straight in the eyes. Care to explain to Marcus why the core technology of your company was developed on my personal laptop? This is absurd. David turned to Marcus, and for the first time, a note of desperation crept into his voice. Marcus, you understand what this is, right? Some disgruntled former employee who… Anna cut him off, her voice slicing through the silence like a knife. Is that what you're calling it now, David? We were engaged for 2 years. We built this company together. We shared a bed, shared a life, made plans for a future we were supposed to create together. She stood, circling the table until she was close enough to see the fear in David's eyes. And when you decided you wanted it all for yourself, you didn't just steal my work. You stole my life. You destroyed my reputation, froze my assets, turned everyone against me, and then had the audacity to act as if I never existed. You filed false fraud accusations against me and then withdrew them at the last moment to appear magnanimous, while making everyone believe I was guilty. Anna's voice grew stronger with every word. You rewrote our partnership agreements to present me merely as an employee. You erased my name from patent filings. You erased me, David. David's eyes darted between Anna and Marcus, clearly calculating his options. Even if all of this is true, he began. It is true, Marcus said quietly. Every word. David looked at Marcus. You believe her? Marcus, this woman is clearly unstable. She's telling the truth, Marcus interrupted. He pulled out his tablet and opened a document Anna instantly recognized. My legal team has been investigating Pinnacle's intellectual property for the past 3 days. And you know what we found? David froze. What do you mean? I mean, the original patent filings tell a completely different story than the current ones. Metadata analysis shows your patents were systematically altered to remove my name as co-author. Invention dates were changed. Technical specifications were rewritten to hide the fact that the work was done on external systems. Marcus stood, his presence filling the room with a cold, tangible threat. We also found the original partnership agreements. David, the ones where Anna is listed as an equal partner, not an employee. The ones altered 6 months after she left the company. David's face drained of color. These are sealed corporate documents. You have no right. I have every right to investigate the intellectual property I'm buying, Marcus said, his voice icy. And what I found? You're trying to sell me stolen property. This is madness, David said, but the confidence in his voice had already faltered. You're talking about destroying $1 billion deal, based on the words of the woman who created the technology that made your company valuable, Anna finished. The woman who trusted you with everything and was betrayed for that trust. David looked like a cornered animal. His usual swagger evaporated like smoke. Anna, listen, maybe we can work something out. If you feel you deserve compensation for your contribution. Compensation? Anna laughed bitterly. David, you can't just get away with theft. You can't offer me a settlement for stealing my life's work. So what is it you want? Anna looked at the man who had once been everything to her, who had shared her dreams in bed, shared her hopes for the future, and felt only cold satisfaction. I want justice, she said simply. I want the whole world to know who really built Pinnacle Financial. I want my name restored to every patent application, every article, every fragment of work you stole. I want a full accounting of every dollar this company earned using my technology. She paused, her voice lowering, almost intimate, sending a shiver through the tense room. And I want you to feel what it's like, to lose everything because someone you trusted decided to destroy you. David froze, stunned, as a flicker of realization crossed his eyes. The woman he had tried to ruin stood before him, strong, resolute, unbroken. The deal is off, Marcus said quietly, effective immediately. And David, I'll make sure every potential partner knows the business practices Pinnacle Financial employs. David leapt to his feet, his calm facade collapsing like a house of cards. You can't do this. Contracts are binding. Contracts are void due to asset misrepresentation, Marcus replied evenly. My lawyers are already preparing the documents. I'll fight this, David said, his voice trembling with rage. I'll destroy both of you. What? Anna stood, eyes locked on him, unwavering. Destroy my reputation, steal my work, turn everyone against me. You've already done all of that, David. You dealt your best blow, and I survived. She stepped closer, close enough to see the fear in his eyes. But this time, I'm not alone. This time, I have someone who believes in me, someone willing to fight for the truth. This time, you're the one who will lose everything. David glanced first at Anna, then at Marcus. His face shifted from fury to despair and perhaps even defeat. This isn't over, he finally muttered. Yes, Anna said softly. It is over. As they left the conference room, leaving David slumped at his desk, Anna felt the weight she had carried for 2 years finally lift. She was no longer the broken woman who once fled this building in shame and terror. Now she was strong, ready to fight, and aware that justice is possible, if you have the courage to demand it. 6 months later, Anna stood in Marcus's Tribeca penthouse kitchen, watching the rising sun paint the city in gold and pink. A newspaper lay on the table, its headline still bringing a smile to her face. Founder of Pinnacle Financial sentenced to 5 years for corporate fraud. Below, a smaller note. Martinez Technologies reports record profits in Q1. Anna lingered on the news of David's downfall as Marcus appeared behind her, arms wrapping around her waist, lips brushing her neck. Can you believe it? 2 years of nightmares, and now he's behind bars. Anna leaned back into his warmth, feeling safe and at peace. Sometimes I still can't believe this is real. Believe it. Marcus smiled, his voice filled with deep satisfaction. Charles's legal team did an incredible job. Fraud, intellectual property theft, corporate misconduct, financial document falsification. David won't trouble anyone ever again. Anna turned in his arms, looking into the face of the man who had changed her life. You don't regret walking away from the biggest deal of your career? Marcus chuckled softly, a genuine smile on his face. Walking away from that deal was the best decision of my life. It led me to something far more valuable. And what's that? You, he said simply, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. Though I must admit, watching you rebuild your company from scratch was incredible. Martinez Technologies is going to change this industry. Anna felt a familiar warmth of pride rise in her chest. The past 6 months had been a whirlwind. Legal battles, reclaiming patents, rebuilding a company from the ground up. But with her name cleared and her technology restored, Anna realized she was stronger than ever. Martinez Technologies had already signed multi-million-dollar contracts, and 3 major companies were competing for investment opportunities. "We're going to change this industry," Anna corrected, her voice confident. "I couldn't have done it without you." "You could have," Marcus replied. "You just needed a reminder of how strong you truly are." The softness and sincerity in Marcus's voice made Anna's chest tighten with emotion. Even after 6 months, she sometimes couldn't believe this was her life. Waking up in Marcus's arms, building a company that truly belonged to her, facing each day without fear or shame. "I have something for you," Marcus said, a note of nervousness threading through his voice. "It's not my birthday," Anna replied, puzzled. "I know, but there's something I've wanted to ask you for a long time, and I couldn't wait any longer." Anna's heart skipped a beat as Marcus pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. She held her breath as he sank to one knee right there in their kitchen. Morning light poured through the windows, bathing everything in a soft golden glow. "Anna Martinez," Marcus said, his voice firm despite the vulnerability in his eyes. "6 months ago, you walked into my life and turned everything upside down. You reminded me why honesty matters more than profit, why the truth is always worth fighting for, why love is the most important investment a person can ever make." He opened the box, and Anna gasped at the ring inside. A classic solitaire, elegant but understated, beautiful without being showy. Exactly what she would have chosen for herself. "You've taught me that real strength isn't about never falling, but about rising again, stronger than before. You've shown me what it means to fight for what's right, even when the odds are against you." Marcus fell silent, his gray eyes shimmering with emotion. "I know we've only known each other 6 months. I know it's fast, maybe even crazy. But Anna, I've never been so sure about anything in my life." He paused, his voice dropping to something intimate and tender. "I love you. I love your brilliant mind and your generous heart. I love your strength and your vulnerability. I love how you talk to my mom in sign language, how you make terrible coffee, the little wrinkle that appears on your forehead when you focus on code." Tears streamed down Anna's cheeks, tears of joy, the kind she thought she had long forgotten how to shed. "Most of all," Marcus continued, "I love how you've made me want to be a better man. You've made me believe in true partnerships, in a love built on respect, admiration, and genuine care." He looked at her with absolute sincerity. "Anna Martinez, will you marry me? Will you let me spend my life with you, so I can prove that not all partnerships end in betrayal, that love doesn't have to be dangerous?" Anna gazed at the incredible man who had risked everything for her, who had seen her at her most broken, and helped her become stronger than ever. The ring in the box caught the morning light, scattering tiny rainbows across the walls. "Yes," she whispered, then louder. "Yes, Marcus. Yes to everything." Marcus gently slid the ring onto her finger, and despite his nerves, his hands were steady. Then he stood and kissed her so tenderly that her knees nearly buckled. When they pulled apart, they laughed and cried at the same time. "I can't believe you proposed in your kitchen," Anna said, admiring the ring on her finger. "I couldn't wait for some fancy restaurant or romantic getaway. I wanted to ask you here in this place, where we've had our best conversations, where you taught me to truly live, not just exist." Anna looked around the kitchen, now so familiar, so homey, and realized he was right. This was the place where they had planned legal strategies, celebrated every victory, and learned to trust each other. "Besides," Marcus added with a smile, "after everything we've been through, I thought simplicity and sincerity beat grandeur and showiness any day." "Simplicity and sincerity," Anna repeated, thinking how perfectly those words described what they had built together. "I like that." Marcus pulled her closer, and Anna felt utterly safe in his arms, as if everything, their life, their world, finally made sense. A year ago, she had been hiding in Queens, convinced her life was over, that trust was impossible, and that love was just another word for vulnerability. Now she was engaged to a man who had proven that partnership could mean supporting each other, not tearing each other down. That love could be a source of strength, not weakness. "Well then," Marcus said, his voice warm and playful. "What are your thoughts on wedding planning? Please tell me you're not one of those brides who wants a year-long engagement and a wedding that costs more than most people's houses." Anna laughed, her laughter bubbling like champagne. "Actually, I was thinking something small. Family, close friends. Maybe your mom can teach me a little more sign language before the ceremony. She'll be thrilled. She's been hinting about grandkids since our third date." "Grandkids?" Anna raised an eyebrow. "We just got engaged 30 seconds ago, and you're already thinking about children?" "I think about everything. Kids, grandkids, growing old together. All the beautiful chaos of building a life with someone." Marcus's expression turned serious. "Anna, I know David hurt you. I know trust doesn't come easily, but I want you to know I'm here for the long haul. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." Anna felt her heart swell with a feeling she could barely contain. "I know," she whispered. "I trust you, Marcus, completely." These words would have scared her 6 months ago, but now they felt like a gift for him and for herself. She had learned that trust wasn't about never being deceived. It was about choosing to believe that some people are worth the risk. And Marcus Blackwood was definitely worth the risk. "Good," Marcus said, kissing her again. "Because I have a few honeymoon ideas that will require a lot of trust." "Oh, really?" Anna's eyes sparkled with mischief. "What kind of ideas?" "Ideas involving Paris, champagne, and proving that not all French affairs end in heartbreak." Anna felt a fleeting pang at the mention of Paris, the city where she had once thought she would build a life with David, where her dreams had begun to take shape. But looking into Marcus's eyes, she realized those old dreams had been small, limited by her inability to imagine being loved without diminishment. "Paris sounds perfect," she said sincerely. "Just promise me you won't propose again. I'm afraid my heart won't survive another surprise today." "Deal. But I reserve the right to surprise you in other ways." "In what ways?" Marcus's smile was enigmatic, full of promise and possibility. "You'll have to trust me." "I trust you," Anna said, and realized she truly meant it. "I trust you completely." Standing together in the morning light, Anna reflected on how far she had come from the frightened woman hiding in Queens, convinced her life was over. She had learned that endings can be beginnings, that losing everything can reveal what truly matters, and that the worst betrayal can lead to the truest love. David Chen had tried to erase her from existence, but instead, he had forced her to discover who she truly was when everything else was stripped away. And who she was, turned out, was a woman strong enough to recover, brave enough to fight, and wise enough to recognize true love when she found it. "So," Marcus said, wrapping his arms around her even tighter, "let's start planning the rest of our life." Anna looked at the ring, sparkling in the morning light, then at the man who had reminded her she was worth fighting for. "I'm ready," she said, and for the first time in years she said it without hesitation. The future stretched out before them, bright with possibility and rich with promise. And Anna Martinez, soon to be Anna Blackwood, was finally ready to embrace it all. Outside the windows, the city buzzed with life and energy, filled with people beginning new chapters, facing their own battles, discovering their own strength. Somewhere in a federal prison, David Chen was starting to understand what it meant to lose everything. But here, in this sunlit kitchen filled with laughter and love, Anna and Marcus were only beginning to understand what it meant to truly have everything that mattered. And it was far more beautiful than either of them had ever dared to dream. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. Share your score with friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to follow all our stories.